of peasants struggling to survive. Landowners could require additional payments beyond the 50%, such as extra meat and other produce for holidays. And the contadino might also have to provide his own tools. Most contadini never saved enough money to buy their own land, and this cycle continued from generation to generation, with the landowners staying rich and the workers barely surviving. This was the situation for our branch of the Spadonis, which is obvious from the fact that the family moved to various locations from time to time. This photo, taken in the 1960s, shows the home of Pietro Spadoni and Maria Marchi, where they lived with sons Michele and Enrico, and then later Enrico's 7 children. It has since been torn down and turned into a parking lot. They moved because Mezzadria contracts typically lasted no more than 5 years before having to be renewed, and the contadino might find a better contract or another farm, or the padrone might demand a more favorable contract for the right to continue. A few Valdinievole Spadonis did receive some prominence. Emilio Spadoni was mayor of Ponte Bugenese from 1896 to 1903, and Astolfo Spadoni, an accountant, from 1925 to 1931. Elio Spadoni was the mayor of Monte Carlo from 1959 to 1974. Then, of course, there was the martyr Italo Spadoni, after whom a street in Ponte Bugenese is named. However, our branch of the Spadoni family had no property of its own in Italy from at least 1800, probably much earlier, until after World War II in the mid-1950s. In 1863, my great-grandfather Pietro Spadoni of Ponte Bugenese married Maria Marchi of Pescia, and a few years later signed a contract to work a farm in San Salvatore. Pietro brought his aged father Pellegrino and mother Faustina, then 68 and 66, with him. There, Pietro and Maria gave birth to 8 children, only 4 of whom reached adulthood. Maria Luisa Zelinda died at age 11 on October 28, 1875. 1 day later, second-born Zelinda, age 9, died as well. Historical documents show that an epidemic of cholera swept through Italy in the early 1870s. Cholera is caused by bacteria that thrive in stagnant water, something the swampy Valdinievole had in abundance. This disease killed 113,000 Italians in 1867. Pietro and Maria had 3 boys born in the 1870s, Enrico, Eugenio, and Michele. Michele was my grandfather. Enrico was the grandfather of Alfredo and Adolfo. Pietro and Maria gave birth to a second Zelinda in 1880, and then to Giuseppe Giovanni Lindoro in 1883, which is the same year Anita Seghieri was born, just 2 miles away in the Marcucci neighborhood of San Salvatore. Giuseppe died when he was only 2, and Zelinda met a tragic end at age 7 when she died in a house fire. Enrico, however, married Eufemia Bianchieri, and besides having Adolfo and Alfredo, they had 5 more children: Zelinda, Ferruccio, Pietro, Maria, and Rina. Their descendants are our closest relatives in Italy. Now, I realize how hard it is to figure out how we're all related, but there are ways. My sister-in-law, Rosemary, has a paid account on Ancestry.com, and she can send you an invitation to view it. Please, if you haven't filled out the family information forms that she has there so we can add to the family tree. After you receive an invitation from her, it'll come from Ancestry. You'll need to sign up for a free Ancestry account. I've also made a few charts that show the connections, and I can email copies to you. And I'll show them now, and they're also on my blog site. I just posted them a couple days ago. So I'll show you these, and I won't spend a lot of time going over them because our time is getting short before the meal. Here's one for the Spadoni family. The next one. Spadoni? Yeah. Right, Spadoni. I want Spadoni. There we go. So, this chart, goes back to Bartolomeo of about 1430, and it shows how the families that are here, at least, are related. It doesn't show some of the families in Italy, but these are the Seattle family. And it goes to a Michele Spadoni that came to Seattle as well, as our Michele Spadoni, who came to Gig Harbor nearly the same time. I had to pick somebody to trace through, so I picked Don Spadoni's family line to show his. But those of you who are his cousins can understand how you're related, knowing that you have Michele there. Here we have the Tacoma family that we never knew, again, how we were related. We didn't know how we were related to the Seattle or the Tacoma, but now you can see on the chart how we are. And recently, through Ancestry DNA testing, I've discovered a Chicago family that we're related to. This is Eileen, who's here with Lambert. And then we have the sort of the Gig Harbor ones. Not all of them stayed in Gig Harbor, but Pietro was the father of Michele, who came to Gig Harbor, and Enrico, who had sons, Adolfo and Alfredo. Again, you can look at that on my blog site. Same with the Seghieri one. You could also look at that. We don't have as many Seghieris here, so I'll go over this rather briefly. But this shows how some of the Seghieris in Italy are also related. Some of you have been there and have met Elena Benvenuti, the wife of Davide Seghieri. Elena is a top-notch tour guide. These people own the Castellari dei Fiori, where Lucy and I stayed for parts of 5 years. We didn't know for a long time how we were related, but we knew that they were Seghieris. This is the Seghieri family from now mostly in California. Our family, descending from Anita. These are ones in Italy, our closest relatives in Italy. These are a Seghieri family that went to Minnesota, and I've had email contact with them, but as yet have not met them. This is Ivo Seghieri, who's like an old-fashioned farmer in Italy, a real character, and some other Seghieris that live on the same street. This one, this one, this one, and this one, those four all live in the same little area in San Salvatore. Okay, I have two more little things to go over. One is I want to ask the question, what does all this mean? And of course it means different things to different people. But to me, my research has given me a greater appreciation for the sacrifices our ancestors made. They struggled for survival, and they wanted to give their children better lives than they had had. And for the most part, they succeeded. I feel an unspoken obligation to make the best of this opportunity, to make my ancestors feel that their struggles were worthwhile, that I've lived a life worthy of their efforts. I also feel a bond with all of you here. You came here in part to pay respect to your grandparents and great-grandparents and even earlier ancestors. We share this respect, this heritage, and this Tuscan blood. We are family. Even if we are spread across the globe, we don't forget that. One last thing, I would also like to invite you to another reunion in 2021 to be held in the Val di Nievole, Italy, in either May or June. We hope that many of you from America will come to meet relatives from Italy and also France, where several Seghieri families immigrated. Together with cousin Elena Benvenuti, the best tour guide in the area, we'll have specialized tours to take you to sites that have historic meaning to our families. The Spadoni tour will take you to the 5 cities where our ancestors lived. You'll see the church where the Spadoni tomb is located in Stignano, the monument to the martyr Italo Spadoni in Ponte Buginese, the place where he was shot by the fascist thugs, and the piazza in San Salvatore where the house of Michele, Alfredo, and Adolfo Spadoni once stood. We'll look at the tower of the Spadoni and the various churches that Spadonis attended. We'll also walk through the cemetery in Ponte Buginese, where dozens of Spadonis are buried. For the Seghieri tour, we'll find the 2 places in Monte Carlo that still display the Seghieri coat of arms. We'll visit the Marcucci neighborhood, where hundreds of Seghieris have lived and died, and many still live today. We'll see the Casone di Marcucci, where 7 Seghieri homes that are all attached to each other still exist. We'll see a monument honoring the Seghieris who died in the wars, and a special room in the Monte Carlo Library named for the author and historian Mario Seghieri. We'll also visit the church where Torello Seghieri, father of Anita, Ruggiero, Seghiero, and Rosina, was choir director. While there, you can also choose to take tours of Lucca, the Garfagnana Valley, Pisa, Firenze, Vinci, and many local attractions. You'll be only a few minutes from Collodi and the Parco di Pinocchio and the funicular that goes to the top of Montecatini Alto. But best of all, you'll meet dozens of distant relatives from Italy and all over the world. In all of my travels, I found that the most memorable aspect is not the places I see, but the people I meet. And I promise you that your far-flung relatives are fascinating people who will broaden your perspectives and enrich your lives. I haven't decided yet whether to hold it in early May or mid-June. The weather in early May is ideal. June is hot, 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 but having it then would allow kids and teachers to attend without missing school. I will provide a list of suggested places to stay, and each family will be responsible for making their own accommodations. The nearest airports will be in Florence and Pisa. And we'll make a list of tours that people can sign up for, and we'll have 2 group dinners, one for members of the Seghieri family and one for Spadoni's. More details than that I can't give you now, but I'll be posting them on my blog and probably on the Facebook page for the reunion over the next months and year. I would like to do 2 more brief things, just because I want to have everybody from the Seattle Spadoni family stand, just so people can see who's here from the Seattle Spadoni family. Thank you. And the Tacoma Spadonis. And the Chicago Spadonis. Maybe we should quickly do Donati's, if you're connected by a Donati line. I don't know if we have any Natucci's that made it. Gina said at the last minute that she had to work. Gina Natucci. So the rest, we know. We're from Gig Harbor. We're from Spadoni, Seghieri, Gig Harbor. The last thing I'd like to do is thank the committee members who put this reunion together. I get to stand here in the spotlight, so to speak, but they actually did all the work, and I really, really appreciate it, and I hope you do as well. Anita, maybe you guys could stand as well. Anita Groomer, Annette and Frank Bannon, Roger and Rosemary Spadoni, Linda Spadoni, Jim Langhelm, I think Gina and Teresa Spadoni all contributed as well. I hope I haven't overlooked anybody, but I wasn't on the committee, so I don't know all the people who put all that work in it, but I sure appreciate it. Thank you very much.